All right, welcome back. Now to wrap up our jQuery sections, everything we've been learning so far, we're going to be doing something really cool. We're going to be building a jQuery to-do list, and it's going to be stretching and using and challenging all of the skills we've been learning in jQuery. And it's going to be implementing and utilizing jQuery UI as well. And what's cool about this is it's an actual useful, practical, real-world web application that you can use once you're done building it. And then you can build on it, you can style it, you can restyle it, and you can totally reconfigure what you need to do. And so we're going to jump right in and build this jQuery to-do list. Now let me show you how it works before we get started. So we have a simple Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday week layout here, and you don't see any user interface elements right now. But I'm trying to keep it really minimal because when you hover over a weekday, you're given an input that has a placeholder saying add a new item with a text cursor so you can clearly see, oh, I just have to start typing something. So I'm just going to type something like inbox 0. And there it is. So we have an item. Now let's do another item. Let's say I also want to get milk. And let's say on Tuesday, go to beach and pay subcontractors. And let's add something on Thursday. Let's say make meal plan. And then let's say go swimming. And then Sunday, we'll just say relax. Okay, now we have a very basic to-do list here. Now, if you hover over each of these items, you're kind of given visual feedback via CSS to show you can do something, and there's a cursor pointer. So if you were to click and drag this, oh, look, see here, we have a draggable, droppable item, and I could do this across all of the weekdays here. If I wanted to do that, and I could drop them wherever I want. And that is the case with all of them. So you can see I can reconfigure how I want my week to look based on where I drag and drop my list items. Like that. Now let's say I'm done. I say I went swimming, which I did today. I'm just going to drag this into the delete box, and it's gone. Real super simple. Just simple user interface, simple user interaction. You can modify this as you wish, but we're going to build this right now. Now, to get started, I've already went ahead and built the HTML. Now, the HTML is fairly straightforward, and I don't want to spend too much time focusing on the HTML. So obviously, you can go ahead and download the HTML from the course files folder if you don't already have it in your jQuery UI directory already. Basically, just to show you, we have a div, class of container, and an ID of to-do list wrapper. And here's the meat and potatoes right here. We have a div with the ID of to-do list and a number of different unordered lists within here. So we have UL, and then we have an LI with the class of list title, so the day of the week, and then another LI with the class of add item, and then an input within that list item. And that goes on all the way down until you get to Sunday, and that's it. Now in the CSS, again, you're going to want to download this from the course files folder because this is a jQuery lecture, not a CSS lecture. But for your convenience, I'll just quickly run through these styles so you know what the heck is going on in the background. So I'm just styling the to-do list wrapper as a main container here. And I'm clearing it because there's going to be some floats going on in here. Now the UL, because there's 7 days in the week, 100% divided by 7 is 14.28 roughly. And then those will float side by side. I already have the UL floating up in the styles previously, so I know unordered lists are already floating, but now they will fit the full width of 100%. And now the to-do list LI tags, I just have some basic styles here. And when you hover, just some more visual feedback on the background. And then the list titles, I'm just giving them different colors than the other list items because I want them to be differentiated from what you're going to be adding in your to-do list. Some cursors, and then an empty space. This is going to be with the jQuery UI when you want to drop your item on a new placeholder. I gave it the class of empty space and just some styles so you can see where you can drop those list items. Now the add item list item, I'm positioning it absolute, displaying it none by default. And then when you hover over the unordered list, it's going to display that list item, which is actually an input over top of the day of the week, just as a cool kind of visual feedback saying, hey, you can type in your to-do list item here. And then down here we have the trash, just gave it some basic styles. You can feel free to use like a trash can icon or an image or do gradients, just something, whatever you want here. This is just, I put a generic placeholder that you can style much sexier than what is already there. Now, script.js. This is where we're going to be really working it. So let's start. I'm going to put a little flag here saying to-do list. This is going to be our application that we're going to be building. So I'm going to start off by saying the ID of to-do list, unordered list, is going to be sortable. Now that is jQuery UI. Now I want to add some extra options in here, utilizing what I can with jQuery UI. I'm going to say items. Now the items that you cannot sort, this is what I don't want to be able to sort. So I'm going to say li, so this is in a string, not the not selector. And then in here, I'm going to do single strings and then class of list title. So I don't want to be able to select and sort the list title, comma, or the add item. So because we're selecting the unordered list, I want to make sure that it can't sort these two specific items, comma. Now I want to connect with all unordered lists. I want to be able to have all these list items connect with all other list items, all other unordered lists, because you can drag from a Monday to a Friday to a Saturday to a Tuesday, so on and so forth. Drop on empty. True. This basically says you can drop on an empty unordered list, and that's pretty much they're all empty unordered lists. So you want to be able to drag easily onto an empty unordered list. And then placeholder. The class it's looking for is empty space. We styled in CSS. I showed you that just a few moments ago. So now we should theoretically be able to sort items, but we don't have any items yet to sort. So we need to be able to do that. Okay, now we're going to be selecting the input, and on key down, I'm going to call function here. And there we go. Now I want to be able to find out when you click down the return key. So I have to say here, I'm gonna pass a parameter in here, an argument, an E, which is just kind of an empty parameter that I'm going to be passing into the function, which just lets me say if, my if statement, and now E dot key code. So now I'm looking for the key code that I pressed if it's equal to 13, and 13 is the key code for the return button. If you're wondering how I know that, I just remembered what this was for this lecture, but you can look up the key codes to find out exactly what each key is assigned, and each key on your keyboard is assigned a numerical value, so you can actually do this with different keys. Var item, creating a new variable here. I'm going to be saying this val. So I'm taking the value of the input, storing it in the item. I want to say this, and now I need to jump up out of the input into the parent, and one more time. So I jumped up 2 parents. So from the input to the li, from the li to the unordered list, and then I need to be able to append, this is another jQuery method, a list item. So I'm going to be appending some HTML here. And then I'm going to concatenate the variable item and then close that concatenation so I can close the li tag, close that string, semicolon, and then I'm going to save that. So let's see what happens so far. It should be pretty functional so far. So let's check it out. So we have our items here. When I click, I'm going to say do laundry. Now if I hit return, there it is. It pops in there. Cool. And it is draggable and droppable on all the items. So far, so good. So I can really just keep adding more things like thing 1, thing 2. But I'm going to show you something here. All these items are just added. That value in the input is still there. So it's not going away when I hit return if I've already added a value. And it's just kind of, I have to delete it afterwards. And so that's kind of bad practice. So I can fix that in here by simply clearing that value when I hit return. So this dot val and then empty string, and that will clear the value. So let's see if that worked. Item 1. There we go. So it cleared the value when I hit return, but it added it down here, kind of making it seem like it threw it down into the list. Another item. Cool. Now I can drag that item over here. I could drag this one down here, put it over here. Pretty cool. Now there is one last thing left to do. I need to be able to drop this item into the trash box here so I can get rid of it, but right now I can't. Very simple. Down here, I'm just going to select the trash ID, which is what I called it. There we go. And say droppable. Now, droppable, again, like we mentioned before, has got a little bit funky of a syntax. So we need to say drop function. And then in function here, we need to pass in a couple arguments here. So event and UI. That's default what jQuery UI asks you to put in here so that you could select it like so. So UI, I'm selecting the UI parameter here, the UI argument that I passed in, and then draggable dot remove. And that will remove the draggable functionality and therefore just delete the entire item altogether. So let's see if that works. Item, another item, drag, drop, gone. There it is. And now gone. Cool. Now let's just try one quick thing here. Let's say you actually wanted to, use this to-do list in real life. You wanted to print it out. Well, what's cool is you could just say do laundry. Let's say I wanted to do something here like clear email, play with daughter. There we go. Now let's say I wanted to print this. Just go Command P or File Print, and then you could it'll give you a print-friendly version of your to-do list that you can print out and put on your fridge and cut out and put on a magnet or whatever you want to do, and you have your to-do list that you can actually use in real life too. Just a little fun thing that you could do. And so there is your jQuery to-do list. Hopefully you like that little lecture there, that little challenge, creating a jQuery to-do list web application. So hang tight because we're going to be jumping into an entirely new section coming up. So get yourself some food, drink, do some push-ups or whatever you need to do, and get your butt back here so we can do some more fun stuff.